Imagine being just a child, facing the toughest battle of your life, fighting cancer. Now, imagine this. Out of nowhere, someone knocks on your hospital door. Not just anyone, but one of the most controversial and talked about figures in the world. That's exactly what happened to a young boy last month. And what unfolded in that room will leave you speechless. But here's the twist. It wasn't just what he did. It was what he said that melted everyone's hearts, from doctors to the boy's family, and even critics. Why would someone as busy and polarizing as Donald Trump go out of his way for a child he had never met before? Stay with me, because the answer is more unexpected and moving than you could ever imagine. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment isn't just about one child, but about all of us. Are you ready to hear the words that stopped an entire hospital in its tracks? It all started on an ordinary afternoon in a children's hospital in New York. Nurses were going about their routines, parents were sitting beside their kids, offering quiet encouragement, and the air was filled with the usual mix of hope and tension. But then, something unusual happened. A commotion began at the entrance. Whispers spread quickly. Is that really him? Why would he come here? Staff and patients alike began peeking around corners, trying to catch a glimpse of the unexpected visitor. And then it became clear it was Donald Trump. But this wasn't a scheduled event. No media cameras, no press releases. He was there quietly, almost as if he wanted no one to know. It was unusual, especially for someone who thrives in the public eye. As he walked through the halls, his presence seemed to spark mixed reactions. Some were excited, snapping quick photos from a distance. Others were skeptical, whispering among themselves, wondering why he had come. But he wasn't paying attention to any of that. His focus was singular. Room 215. Inside room 215 was a 7-year-old boy named Michael. Michael had been battling leukemia for 2 years. Despite his illness, he was known for his bright smile and his love of superheroes. But recently, the treatments had taken a toll, and his spirits had started to dim. When Donald Trump stepped into that room, Michael's mother froze. She wasn't a fan of Trump and didn't quite know how to react. But then something happened that no one expected. Trump bent down, meeting Michael at eye level. There was no grand speech, no formalities. He simply said, "Hey, buddy, I heard you're one of the toughest kids around. Is that true?" Michael, shy at first, nodded slowly. Trump reached into his coat pocket and pulled out something small, a gold-plated coin. "This," he said, "is a challenge coin. It's for people who do extraordinary things. Soldiers, first responders, and now, you." The room was silent. Michael's mother looked at Trump, surprised. She later said it wasn't the coin that moved her. It was the way he said it, with sincerity, as if he truly believed Michael was a hero. But that was just the beginning. Michael held the coin in his small hand, his fingers tracing its smooth, golden edges. For a moment, his face lit up, a spark of excitement that hadn't been there in weeks. Trump smiled and sat down on the chair beside the bed, looking uncharacteristically relaxed. He leaned in closer to Michael and said, "You know, people always talk about me being strong or tough. But I'll tell you a secret, kid. What you're doing, this fight, that's the real kind of tough." Michael's mom, who had been standing silently by the window, felt a lump rise in her throat. These weren't the words she expected from someone like Trump. They weren't loud or boastful. They were human. Trump then asked Michael about his favorite superheroes. Michael hesitated before answering. "Spider-Man and Iron Man." Trump chuckled. "Good choices," he said. "You know what makes them real heroes? They never give up. Even when things get hard, they keep fighting. Just like you." As they talked, Michael began to open up, sharing how much he missed school, his friends, and playing outside. Trump listened, nodding, asking questions. He didn't rush, didn't glance at his watch. It was as if, in that moment, nothing else mattered. And then came the words that would stay with everyone in that room. Trump looked Michael in the eye and said, "One day, you're going to tell your friends this story, not just about me visiting you, but about how you beat this thing. And when you do, they're going to look at you like you're the superhero." Michael smiled for the first time in days. His mom, barely holding back tears, felt something shift inside her. a rare moment of hope she hadn't felt in weeks. But what happened next surprised even the nurses standing outside the door. Trump turned to Michael's mom and said, "You know, being strong isn't just about the person in the hospital bed. It's about the people standing beside them, too. You're doing an incredible job, and I want you to know that." For a man often criticized for being divisive or detached, his words carried an unexpected weight. They weren't about politics or headlines. They were personal, real. And yet, there was still more to this story, a twist no one could have seen coming. Word of Trump's visit to room 215 began to spread throughout the hospital. Staff whispered about the moment he handed Michael the coin and the heartfelt words he'd shared. But as people talked, something unexpected happened. It wasn't just the visit that was making waves. It was the changes that followed. A nurse from the pediatric oncology wing, who had been feeling burned out for months, later said, "That moment reminded me why I do this job." Seeing Michael smile again, it was like a light switch flipped. She started organizing weekly superhero-themed events for the kids, inspired by Michael's love of Spider-Man and Iron Man. But the story didn't stay within the hospital walls. A doctor who had overheard parts of Trump's conversation with Michael mentioned it during a fundraiser for pediatric cancer research. "You may have strong opinions about the man," the doctor said, "but in that room, he wasn't a politician. He was just a human being showing compassion." And it mattered. Donations to the hospital surged in the following weeks, many accompanied by notes saying things like, "For Michael, the real superhero." As for Michael, something seemed to shift within him after that visit. His mom noticed it first. "He started talking about the future again," she said in an interview later. "He told me he wanted to get better so he could become a doctor and help kids like him." Trump didn't make a public statement about the visit. There were no tweets, no press conferences. But those who were there couldn't stop talking about one specific moment. Just before he left, Trump turned back to Michael and said, "When you're all better, come visit me. I want to shake hands with the toughest superhero I've ever met." Michael's eyes lit up, and for the first time in months, he said, "Deal." The hospital staff later said that Trump's visit had a lasting impact, not because of his status, but because of how personal and genuine the interaction had been. "He didn't come here to be a president," one nurse said. "He came here to be a person." But what truly set this story apart wasn't just the visit itself. It was the ripple effect it created. The renewed hope, the surge of community support, and most importantly, the spark it reignited in a little boy fighting the battle of his life. And yet, even as this incredible story unfolded, it left one lingering question. What happens next for Michael? And will he one day get to make good on his deal with Trump? Months after the visit, Michael's story continued to inspire everyone who heard it. His treatments were grueling, but his renewed sense of determination was undeniable. He started calling himself Super Michael and told the nurses that every time he finished a tough day, he was earning his superhero badge. And then, the news everyone had been praying for finally came. Michael's cancer went into remission. His doctors called it a miracle, but Michael had a simpler explanation. "Superheroes never give up," he said with a proud smile. True to his word, Michael's mom reached out to Trump's office to share the incredible news. A week later, a letter arrived at their home. It was handwritten, signed by Trump himself. "Michael," it read, "I always knew you'd win this fight. Now go and show the world what a real hero looks like." The letter now hangs framed on Michael's wall, a constant reminder of that unforgettable moment when someone believed in him enough to light a spark. But this story isn't just about Michael. It's about what happens when we take a moment to show kindness and connection, when we go beyond labels and roles and see each other as people. And now, it's your turn. In the comments below, share a story about someone who has inspired you in a way you'll never forget. Maybe it's a family member, a friend, or even a stranger who showed up when you needed them the most. Let's fill this space with the kind of stories that remind us what truly matters. And if you know someone who needs a little hope today, share this video with them. Because sometimes, all it takes is a simple gesture to change someone's world. Thank you for watching, and remember, we all have the power to be someone's superhero.